If you're self-employed and thinking about buying a home in 2023, well then don't go anywhere because this video is for you. There's a significant difference between someone who is self-employed and someone who is a W-2 employee when it comes to obtaining financing to buy a home. And in this video, we're going to unpack some of the moving mechanics that come along with buying a home or obtaining financing if you are self-employed. But before we jump into any of that, just a little bit of house cleaning. I'm Chris Nelson, the team lead of the Nelson Home Group, helping buyers and sellers obtain their real estate dreams here in the greater Philadelphia area. Now, if this is your first time to this channel, welcome, make yourself comfortable. And if this is your second or maybe even more time visiting the channel, welcome back. Do me a favor, that red button, go ahead and hit it. I promise it will not bite. And while you're at it, mash that bell and consider dropping a comment letting me know how I'm doing or whether or not this video has had any value for you. So as I mentioned, if you are self-employed and thinking about buying a home in 2023, well then hopefully you're watching this video at the right time because, well, taxes are right around the corner, or I should say the due date in which we are to submit our taxes are right around the corner. And this is going to be really important for you because, well, the way your taxes are reported and the income that gets reported, that has a lot to do with your chances to get approved. So let's start with the documentation. If you're a W-2 employee, meaning you're an employee where the taxes are taken out of your check, you get your check, they show you how much money you've made, how much money has gone towards Social Security, taxes, all of that stuff. Well, generally all you need when you are qualifying or applying for a loan is your most recent pay statements. Usually the last two pay statements will do, and maybe a copy of your tax return, quite possibly. But if you are self-employed, that list of documentation grows. Now, obviously you don't have a W-2 because taxes aren't being taken out of your check, which is why you are a 1099 employee, where at the end of the year, you itemize your income and deduct your deductions or the things that you actually have to pay out in order to run your business. If you are 1099 and you are applying for a loan, some of the things that you're going to need will be, well, you're going to need your tax returns. And on average, 2 years is what I would encourage for you to have at your disposal. But depending the type of business you have and the way you've shown income, you may need to show more than just 2 years of your filed tax returns. In addition to tax returns, you're also going to need bank statements. Your loan officer will tell you which statements they need, but generally they're going to ask for several months of bank statements. And the reason for this is they want to take a close look at the seasonality of your money, right? And by seasonality, I mean, how much money are you making during the winter versus how much money are you making during the summer? A lot of times when we are self-employed, depending the type of business you're in, whether you're a landscaper, you own a trucking company, or you're a realtor like myself, our business will fluctuate or our income will fluctuate at times given the time of the year. Using myself as an example, well, it tends to be a little bit slower when it comes to real estate sales in the colder months. So if I don't do things accordingly, I may see a dip in my income. If you're a landscaper here in the northeastern section of the country and we don't have a lot of snow, well, you may not be making as much money because grass isn't growing and you're not out there cutting lawns and doing other landscaping jobs, subsequently taking away from your bottom line. Banks, when they approve you for a loan, if you are self-employed, they're going to want to take a look at that entire snapshot. So be prepared to supply your bank statements. And then lastly, some business registration documents, just to make sure that your business is legitimate and it is able to function in the state of Pennsylvania, which is where I sell real estate. So that's pretty much the documentation you need. Again, if you are 1099, every situation is different. So you might be asked for something that I didn't put in this video, but for the most part, those are the things that I think you should be prepared to present. Now, at the end of the day, what I would highly suggest to you, a few things. One, make sure that you're not only aligning yourself with a loan officer who is creative and familiar, I emphasize familiar, with working with people who are self-employed, right? They specialize in that niche. So that's number one. Number two, I would suggest having an accountant involved in this conversation, especially now, right? If you are working on your taxes now, do not file them. Obviously, do not go past the deadline either, but save them as a draft until you explore this. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, what we do as 1099 employees is we take our income, we compare that to our expenses, and when you subtract the two, you have an amount that you make on a monthly or yearly basis. If you play around with some of those deductions, and when I say play around, one, I'm definitely not talking about being fraudulent or misleading. But what I'm talking about, take those deductions, but simply putting a spin on them, which is something that an accountant who is creative and knows that you are attempting to buy a home can help you do. Get with someone experienced when it comes to the financing side of things. Get an accountant. 2. Number 3, prepare your taxes, but save them as a draft rather than send them off. Because once they're sent off, that's it. That's what your loan officer is going to go off of, and it's going to make it really hard for them to be creative. And I feel as though if you take those few steps, especially now in the beginning of well, I guess it's really not the beginning of the year, within the first quarter before taxes are due, I think that this can really help you move the needle and get you much closer to being approved if you are self-employed. So if you have any tips, tricks, hacks, or anything that I didn't mention, well, drop that in the comment, because although I have been doing this a long time, I'm still learning. There's always something new out there. And if you found any value to this video, well then, again, drop me a comment, let me know how I'm doing. And with all of that being said, once again, I'm Chris Nelson, the team lead of the Nelson Home Group, helping buyers and sellers obtain their real estate dreams here in the Philadelphia area. And I can't wait to see you right here at the very next video. Until then, take care.